are here with MP Ojars Kalnins. So thank you very much for the honor of being here at the Institute for Cultural Diplomacy in Berlin.
Thank you for the invitation.
It's our pleasure. We have a few questions and we wanted to get your thoughts and opinions on a few issues. So first of all, what do you think of the conference so far?
Well, it's a very high-level qualitative discussion. I'd say, famous people who've accomplished a great deal, and personally it's been a chance to get to meet people, talk to them, and listen to some very valuable discussions. So I think from what I've seen, you've accomplished everything you've set out to do. And it's an ongoing process, so I hope this process continues.
And secondly, what programs are there in Latvia to support friendly relations with the former Soviet republics? And what is the role of cultural diplomacy in these relations?
Well, first of all, the European Union's Eastern Partnership is one of our top foreign policy priorities. So ever since we restored independence, we've had particularly close ties with countries like Georgia, Ukraine, Azerbaijan, Armenia, the Central Asian republics. We've tried to maintain close ties with Belarus. We have economic ties there. It's a bit more difficult politically. And clearly Russia is a neighbor, and one of our goals has always been to have stable, normal ties. But I'd say that the priority in particular has been Central Asia, and it seems like in the last few years Latvia has become one of the European Union's experts on the Central Asian countries. We're one of the few EU countries that has embassies in Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan. We've been the NATO contact point embassy in these areas. And since we have a long-term interest to reach further east all the way to China, Central Asia is very important. Cultural diplomacy for us goes hand in hand with traditional diplomacy. One advantage many of our people have is that they speak Russian. Most of the former Soviet republics also speak Russian. The people know each other, even though maybe the politics differs. And they know our artists, we know theirs, we continue to exchange. So that in a way it's like old friends continuing to maintain their contacts despite whatever changes have taken place politically.
Okay. Latvia obviously is a very small and relatively young country. I was wondering if there are any nation branding initiatives that you're aware of.
Well, we started working on it when I headed the Latvian Institute, which was a state agency for public information. We started doing some research. Our first goal was not so much branding the country as just developing information in English and other languages so people could know more about our history, our culture, and our politics. We did do some research on nation branding. We looked at the possibilities, but we didn't have the money or the political will, I would say, to actually carry it through. But I think the information is still there. In a way, nation branding is something that you can try to do artificially, or it's done for you by circumstances. Right. And in Latvia's case, we were the fastest growing economy in Europe in 2007. 2 years later, we had the worst economy in Europe. Today, we're the fastest growing economy again. And so today we have people like Paul Krugman and other world economists arguing about us, whether we're a success story or not. And the important thing is to take advantage of this either notoriety or just the awareness and try to build on it. So I hope that we can return to a more strategic approach to how we promote our image. And I've always felt that the three key elements of Latvia's image are nature, education, and culture. These are three things, when they're combined in Latvia, they create a uniquely sort of Latvian identity.
So following on from that, currently what are the main priorities of Latvian foreign policy?
Well, we're approaching our 10th anniversary of being members of EU and NATO. And with the EU in particular, we will take over the EU Council presidency in 2015. So I would say in the next year our entire focus will be on preparing for that, preparing for the issues that the EU continues to face. We also will enter the Eurozone in January of next year. The Transatlantic Alliance is a major priority for us. We consider the U.S. a strategic partner, and as members of NATO, we look at the broader issues so that we have concerns not only about the future of Afghanistan, but other areas where NATO is interested, because even though our focus may be on the Eastern European Partnership, and we still hope countries like Ukraine and Azerbaijan will continue their trend toward the European Union, we also look beyond that. And I'd say that the direction we're looking beyond the Transatlantic Alliance is further east to China's developing role in the world, Korea and Japan. We're a small country, we can't cover these countries comprehensively, but we can find certain areas in our relationship that can be valuable.
Okay. One last question. Yesterday in a presentation, we heard about Latvia's singing revolution. I was wondering if you could give us a brief history about that.
Well, we've been called the land that sings, and that's probably the one trait of our people that everyone sings except for me, because I'm not a very good singer. And it's something that has brought our nation together. It helped develop our national identity in the 19th century when we first established independence. And in the late 80s, when the pro-independence movement started in Latvia as well as Lithuania and Estonia, one way that our people got together for peaceful demonstrations was not only to give speeches, but they would sing. And many of the songs are patriotic. It was a way of unifying the people. And I think the culmination of that was 1989, the Baltic Way, the Human Chain. And all of these events were preceded by or followed by singing. And I think that continues to this day. It's still probably the one cultural activity that unites our people the most. So at least in my presentation, I talked about cultural diplomacy beyond singing revolution. We're not having a revolution anymore, but we could still use this cultural activity to form ties with people from around the world. Because even if you don't understand another country's language, you can relate to their music. I mean, that is a universal language.
Well, thank you for your time. It's an honor and a privilege to have you here with us today.
Well, it's a privilege for myself as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.